A show that took the car world by storm just disappeared. No explanation, no goodbye. Bad Chad Customs had everything going for it. A genius builder turning trash into treasure, millions of fans, and a story that felt real in a sea of fake reality TV. Then in 2020, the cameras stopped rolling, and nobody knew why. Discovery stayed silent. Chad stayed silent. Fans were left hanging with nothing but questions and conspiracy theories. What really killed Bad Chad Customs? The truth is way more twisted than anyone expected, and it all started falling apart long before the final episode aired. Chad Hiltz wasn't supposed to be famous. Growing up in Kingsport, Nova Scotia, he was just another kid obsessed with cars, watching old classics roll into his dad's gas station. By 16, he became a father and had to drop out of school to make money however he could. He bounced between jobs, grain mills, construction, whatever paid the bills. But nothing stuck, nothing felt right. The only thing that made sense to Chad was taking broken things and making them beautiful again. He started Green Goblin Customs in his backyard, building wild custom cars from literal garbage. Airplane parts, boat scraps, kitchen cabinet knobs. If it was metal, Chad could turn it into art. The locals thought he was crazy, but they couldn't deny the results. His builds won awards at car shows across Canada, and people started whispering about this eccentric guy who could build a Bugatti out of a chicken coop. But Chad was still broke, still unknown outside his tiny town, still just a dreamer with a welding torch. Then Jolene McIntyre walked into his life, and everything changed. Jolene wasn't just some girlfriend who happened to like cars. She had a business degree, a sharp mind, and she saw something in Chad that nobody else did. Potential for something massive. When they met in 2016 at a car show, she was working as a waitress. Within months, she'd quit her job and thrown herself into transforming Chad's struggling shop into a real business. She rebranded Green Goblin Customs to Hiltz Auto Co. After licensing issues with Marvel, managed the finances, and most importantly, she understood the power of social media. Jolene started filming everything, every weld, every late night in the shop, every impossible build. When Chad offered to create a replica of Ralph Lauren's $40 million Bugatti for her, Jolene documented the entire year-long process and posted it online. The videos went viral. Suddenly, thousands of people were watching this unknown Canadian turn scrap metal into a masterpiece. Discovery Channel executives noticed. Within months, they had a deal. Bad Chad Customs was greenlit for 2019, and Chad Hiltz went from backyard mechanic to television star. It seemed like a fairy tale. Nobody knew the nightmare was already being written. Bad Chad Customs hit Discovery in January 2019, and it was unlike anything else on TV. Most car shows followed the same. Tired formula. Find a rusty classic, throw money at it, add chrome, sell it for profit. Chad's show was different, raw, real. He wasn't working with million-dollar budgets or fancy equipment. He used coat hangers as welding wire, turned old lockers into car panels, and built entire vehicles with basic tools and pure imagination. The Bat Out of Hell had a dorsal fin and kitchen cabinet doorknobs. The Green Goblin had the engine in the back, trunk in the middle, no doors. These weren't restorations. They were fever dreams brought to life. Viewers loved it. The show also highlighted Chad's relationship with his son Colton, who worked as an apprentice in the shop. Their dynamic was complicated, sometimes tense. Chad was hard on the kid, pushing him relentlessly, and some viewers criticized his parenting style. But others saw a father desperately trying to teach his son a trade, to give him the skills Chad never had at that age. It was messy, imperfect, and absolutely captivating. Season 1 crushed it. Season 2 arrived in August 2020. Then silence. The last episode of Bad Chad Customs aired in October 2020. Chad had just promised fans that Season 3 was signed, sealed, and ready to film in early 2021. Everyone was hyped. The show had momentum, a growing fan base, and the kind of authentic energy that networks dream about. Then, nothing. Weeks turned into months. Months turned into years. No announcements from Discovery, no explanations. Fans flooded social media asking what happened, but they got radio silence. The show's status became this weird limbo. Not officially canceled, but definitely not renewed either. It just existed in this ghost state, like it never really ended, but also never came back. Chad and Jolene stayed active on YouTube and Instagram, posting videos of their builds, but they never directly addressed why the show disappeared. Discovery moved on to other programming without a word. Industry insiders whispered about complications and creative differences, but nobody went on record. The mystery only made fans more obsessed. Message boards exploded with theories. Some blamed COVID for disrupting production schedules. Others pointed to darker reasons. And the more people dug, the stranger the story became. What really happened behind those closed doors? The theories started small, but grew into full-blown conspiracies. One persistent rumor claimed Chad had gotten into legal trouble after season 1, and Discovery quietly distanced themselves to avoid scandal. Multiple sources mentioned accusations and legal issues, but specifics were always vague, always secondhand. Nobody could confirm exactly what happened, but the whispers never stopped. Another theory focused on money. Bad Chad Customs wasn't cheap to produce. Chad's builds required time, materials, and a camera crew following him around rural Nova Scotia. Some reports suggested Discovery couldn't justify the production costs when viewership numbers, while loyal, weren't massive enough to compete with their bigger shows. Then there was the Colton situation. Online critics had been brutal about how Chad treated his son on camera, calling him verbally abusive and questioning whether the show was promoting toxic father-son relationships. Some speculated Discovery faced pressure to drop the series before it became a PR nightmare. Chad's Instagram even posted cryptic messages hinting at new content and a brand new season, but nothing ever materialized. Were these genuine updates or just desperate attempts to keep fans engaged? The more people searched for answers, the murkier everything became. Truth and speculation blurred into one confusing mess. While fans waited for Bad Chad Customs to return, something interesting happened. Chad and Jolene stopped waiting for Discovery and built their own empire. Their YouTube channel, Building with Bad Chad and Jolene, exploded. Over 120,000 subscribers, nearly 152 million views. They were making serious money. Estimates suggest around $450K in revenue before taxes just from ad revenue alone. They didn't need Discovery anymore. They had full creative control. No network interference, no production drama. Just Chad, Jolene, their team, and the builds. Hiltz Auto Co. continued thriving, taking custom orders from clients worldwide. Chad's net worth reportedly hit $3 million, though some wild estimates claimed as high as $90 million. The merch sales helped too. Shirts, hats, accessories bearing the Hiltz Auto logo flew off their online store. They proved something revolutionary. You don't need a major network to build a career anymore. The internet gave them everything TV promised but couldn't deliver. Independence, control, direct connection with fans. Maybe the show's disappearance wasn't a tragedy at all. Maybe it was the best thing that ever happened to them. But that still doesn't answer the core question. Why did Discovery really let them go? Here's what actually happened, pieced together from interviews, industry reports, and quiet admissions. Bad Chad Customs wasn't canceled because of scandal or failure. It was caught in something worse, corporate limbo. Discovery never officially renewed it for season 3, but they never officially canceled it either. They just stopped. COVID-19 hit right as season 3 was supposed to start filming, disrupting production schedules across the entire network. Discovery had to make tough choices about which shows to prioritize, which ones to pause, which ones to quietly shelve. Bad Chad Customs, despite its loyal fan base, didn't have the massive viewership numbers that shows like Street Outlaws or Gold Rush commanded. When budgets got tight, it became expendable. But here's the twist. Discovery never told Chad and Jolene they were done. The network kept them hanging, promising, "We'll get back to you," for months, maybe years. Eventually, Chad and Jolene realized they were being ghosted by their own network. Instead of fighting for a show that clearly didn't want them anymore, they took control of their own narrative. They went independent. They thrived. In Discovery, they lost one of the most authentic, creative shows they ever had. The ultimate irony. Bad Chad Customs ended not with a bang, but with a whimper, a slow fade into uncertainty that somehow became the perfect ending for a guy who built his entire career on making something from nothing. Chad Hiltz started with junk and turned it into art. He started with rejection and turned it into success. When Discovery abandoned him, he didn't collapse. He adapted. He evolved. He proved that the old gatekeepers don't control the game anymore. Today, Chad's still in that same shop in Canning, Nova Scotia, still welding impossible dreams into reality, still surrounded by Jolene, Colton, and his crew. The TV cameras might be gone, but the work continues. The builds get wilder, the audience grows larger, and somewhere in a Discovery Channel boardroom, executives probably wonder if they made a massive mistake letting him slip away. Will Bad Chad Customs ever return? Maybe. Those cryptic Instagram posts suggest something's brewing. But honestly, Chad doesn't need them anymore. He never really did. Sometimes the best revenge isn't fighting back. It's building something so incredible that everyone who doubted you has to watch from the sidelines, wondering what could have been. That's the real story of Bad Chad Customs.